Hi, everyone. Um, yeah, so Joanna, she is Polish. She went to London. I was in London. I went to Warsaw, so our paths are crossing frequently. Sometime we will be in the same place. Here you are. So yes, before, just one word about myself. I'm new to Poland, relatively new. It's like 2 years I'm here. I don't speak Polish. I understand a bit at this point. And Poland is my fourth country. Before I was in Italy. I'm Italian. You can probably guess this from my accent. And then I went to London, then to Amsterdam, and now I'm in Warsaw. What I do is I work just around the corner in Emily Platter, where there is Warsaw Financial Center. And then there is a team of around 200 people in engineering, and we work on cloud. We also use a lot of machine learning internally. Machine learning is my passion. I wrote a number of books on machine learning and some books. So what I'm going to do is to talk a bit about Google and why Google is using machine learning. And then there are a few examples. I don't like when people are silent. I will ask you questions. I want you to participate. Don't stay just there listening to me, because otherwise I will get confused. I don't know if you indeed are following me or I'm saying things that are not making any sense at all. Well, let's start from something. This is the mission of Google. It's all about organizing information. And machine learning as a tool is actually helping a lot to make sense of this information, or at least to have some principled way of dealing with this information. Well, why Google, first of all? How many people are using search every day? Okay, and I stop here because I think that many people are using search multiple times per day. And search is also about infrastructure. So we have many, many data centers around the world. And there's also a way about, like lots of people are talking about machine learning these days. But I think that one of the first places where machine learning was used on a very large scale was search. Because there is a lot of information. You need to rank this information. You need to provide an answer that makes sense for this particular query, for this particular user, for this particular location, and so on and so forth. I start from something as a curiosity. Do you know what is this? What's that? It's a receipt. Yes, sure. Good answer. Tell me a bit more about this. This was the first bill that Google paid, the first data center that Google had. It's an official document. I think that this was in '98, yes, monthly. Small amount of money at that time. Of course, there was some growth in the meantime. How many people knows this logo, these logos? Okay, is there any logo that you don't know here? Okay, every single logo here is actually serving 1 billion of users. And I think that they have an impact on our life. I cannot imagine my life without YouTube, for instance. I love music, and YouTube is my every day I'm on YouTube. And of course, Google Maps is probably the same. Android is the same. There is a new product, and this is the place where I'm working. That's cloud. Cloud is, think about this. Google has like 15 years of experience in running data centers internally. And then at a certain point, like 5 years ago, we decided to become serious on helping other companies to outsource essentially their infrastructure. When I joined Google, this is a personal story. When I joined Google 2 years ago, a bit less, I have a son, Lorenzo, he's 17. He said, okay, you join Google, that's fine. And then he discovered that actually Google is powering Spotify. And like me, he has this passion for music. So he said, oh, that's cool. You are joining Google because Spotify is actually using. Spotify is one of the customers of this. This is Google infrastructure in terms of networking. So the places where Google is. Can you guess a number of what is the amount of traffic of internet that Google is actually bringing overall? Drop a number. Any number. Well, I tell you, the traffic is around 25–30% every day. It's running on Google infrastructure. And there are projects like Kubernetes, where essentially Google is providing help to the community to manage the infrastructure. I think that right now there are more than 4,000 projects running on the top of Kubernetes. Internally, Google runs on containers, and we run like 4 billion of containers every week. One thing that was done here in Warsaw, the team is here in Warsaw, on machine learning, is how to optimize the use of the fleet. So hundreds of millions of containers every day are running. How to optimize the use of the fleet, of Google Fleet, in such a way that you allocate these containers into the fleet and you save on infrastructure and performance. Now, all of this is Google. I just wanted to give you a sense of few numbers about Google. Now, let's talk a bit more. Let's switch gear and let's talk a bit more about machine learning. First of all, these are Google products. Is there any product that you don't know here? Okay. I assume you know all of them, if you don't answer. Cardboard is, normally I have a question there. It's a product to like very inexpensive way to do virtual reality. All of them are using machine learning internally. In search, for instance, use machine learning for ranking. In search, still in search, use machine learning now with the assistant, with speech recognition. In email, there are things like spam classification, which is like really very important. Today, we receive a lot of spam, and the fact that it's going in a spam folder is helping everyone. Photos is one example of success for machine learning. Until very recently, people were actually manually tagging and classifying photos, and now machine learning is helping to essentially to say this photo is about this particular subject or is about this particular event. So I'm not going to talk in detail of how we use this internally. What I want to talk is, of course, Google invested a lot in tools for machine learning. One of them is Tensorflow. It's not the only one. It's open source. And this actually, the fact that these tools are available for everyone, for the community, is helping a lot the community. And the fact that there are things like accelerators right now that are actually making this type of computation faster and easier and also affordable is another help for the community. Now, before moving on, I just want to understand how many people in the room ever played with any tool in machine learning? Okay. And how many people played with TensorFlow? Okay. How many people played with Keras? Only one. Two. This is a real story. I want to share with you this story. This story happened last year. And I want to share this story because
my name is Abu. I am a high school student, 17 years old. People learn in different ways. For me, if I see something really cool, I was trying to take it apart and figure out how it works. It's a bit more extreme now because instead of it being hardware, I like to know how algorithms work. My freshman year, I remember Googling machine learning. Had no clue what it meant. That's the really cool thing about the internet is that someone's already doing it, so you can just YouTube it and it's right there. The minute I really saw what machine learning can do, it kind of like hit something within me, this like need to build things to help people. My parents are immigrants from Afghanistan. It's not easy coming in. The only reason we made it through some of the times that we did was because people showed acts of kindness. Seeing that at an early age was enough for me to understand that helping people always comes back to you.
Machine learning is this concept that we can train computers to identify patterns in data and then use those patterns to predict off of new data. I have a quick demo. This is just some code that I wrote last night.
Miss Roscoe is the first teacher that I actually talked to about machine learning.
Abu and I first met his sophomore year. I was his Programming 1 teacher. My students do a computer science fair, and they are challenged to find a problem, but they have to use a form of technology to solve that problem.
And then it kind of hit me in a way where I could actually genuinely help people. Mammograms are the cheapest imaging format there is. It's the most accessible to people all around the world. But one of the biggest problems that we see in breast cancer is misdiagnosis. So I decided that that was going to be my project, build a system for early detection of breast cancer tumors that's accessible to everyone and that's more accurate. How was I going to do it? Machine learning. It's not an easy thing to do. Data is not publicly available, and if it is, it's low quality data. It's difficult. I wasn't even sure if I could do it. And I remember just thinking about, like, everyone else is building a calendar, like maybe I should do that. But I was like, no, you got to do this. You need to.
He was talking to me about all the cool stuff he was doing, and I was telling him not to overdo it. He should just be a kid and worry about kid stuff.
The biggest, most extensive resource that I've used is this platform called Tensorflow. I've spent so many hours going really deep into these open source libraries and just figuring out how it works. Eventually, I wrote a whole system that can help radiologists make their decisions. All right, ready? Yeah. I'm by no means a wizard at machine learning. I'm completely self-taught. I'm in high school. I YouTubed and just found my way through it. You don't know about that kid in Brazil that might have a groundbreaking idea, or that kid in Somalia. You don't know that they have these ideas, but if you can open source your tools, you can give them a little bit of hope that they can actually conquer what they're thinking of.
The reason why I like this video are three. The first one is self-learning, which is something I'm very passionate about. The second one is data, and how it's important to get, proper amount of data. And the third one is, essentially there was a problem, and this guy basically said, I need to focus on this problem. I want to share a similar story. You can think, okay, this is a video just, like some marketing thing. So let me share a similar story that happened to me 1 month ago, only 1 month ago. I was in California. I travel frequently in California. And what I do is when I go to California, I always like to take Uber, not because of Uber, but because I have an opportunity to talk with people and learn from people. So I took this Uber. This was Friday night, and I had my badge with myself, this one. And so this guy, he saw my badge, and he started to ask, said, do you mind if I ask a few questions? I said, of course, this is what I like. But I said to him, please put some music, because otherwise it will be really very difficult. So he shared with me this story. I was kind of shocked. He basically said, look, my father died 3 months ago. And my background, he was saying to me, my background is I'm a chemical engineering. So I'm a degree in chemical engineering. I said, okay, fine. I was asking to myself, why this guy is sharing this with me? And basically he said, my father died 3 months ago, and the reason why he died was sepsis. I have no idea what is sepsis until that point. Now I know, because I documented myself. And he said sepsis is an infection of the blood, and it's basically taking, if you're not able to detect this very early on, you can die in 12 of 24 hours. And actually 250,000 of people in US are dying for this type of disease. And just to give you a sense of what is this is more than cancer in US. And basically he said, this situation where my father died, my background is in science. I'm not in this situation, in this field, but I wanted to do something because I understand that the detection today is very much driven by humans, and they don't have tools to support these decisions. So basically he made his own startup. By the way, he was kind of, went on YouTube, saw that there was a new guy, this intern who came with solutions, and he basically applied those solutions. I was kind of shocked because This is all about learning yourself to solve our problems in a different way. Sorry, my password went here. So this is not just an example. It's something happened for real to me. Something similar to this happened for real. So let me go to the next slide. Okay. Of course, you can use TensorFlow, but you can also use a lot of tools that are available out there. These are the ones offered by Google. There are things that are in vision, speech recognition, natural language detection. I don't go into many details here. I assume that you are able to see this on website if you have any interest. This apparently is not working anymore. Okay, now this is working. I want to show you another example of machine learning. This happened very recently, like last week or 2 weeks ago. You probably already saw this video.
When we started, we made this for everyone, so that everyone could find anything they need among the millions of bazillions of things in the world. Today, it seems like sometimes it's easy to feel like you need a little help with the stuff just in your own world. Your photos, phone, videos, calendars, messages, friends, trips, reservations, and so on and so on. Wouldn't it be nice if you had some help with all that? Wouldn't it be nice if you had a Google for your world? That's why we're building the Google Assistant.
Hi, Amy. How can I help?
You just ask it what you need. Okay, Google, what do I have to do today? And your assistant understands and helps you out.
Okay,
you can even carry on
here. And because, I don't know, people are already using the assistant in this room. There is anyone who is using assistant? Few people, only 2. Okay, so let me show you something that was, this is
the progress with the assistant. As I the progress with the assistant. As I said earlier, our vision for our assistant is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have at 10 o'clock.
Okay, in the interest of time, I stop this here. What is happening here is that basically the voice on this side was generated from a machine and was interacting with a real person and a proper discussion. So these are examples of where machine learning can actually help. I want to give you another one, and with this I conclude. And this is about self-driving cars. This is a very important topic from the point of view of security and safeness. Essentially, there are more than 1 million of people dying every year. This is in 2014 in all the world, and only like around 32,000 people are because of crashes, essentially. And what is important to understand is that like 94% of these crashes are because destruction. Or you can actually kill someone if you don't pay too much attention, and actually this is happening very frequently. And these are some of the causes. Like, so speeding is one, alcohol is another one, distraction, frequently distraction of mobiles. So why self-driving cars is actually useful? Because it can help in situations like this. Google has an investment in this. We already have like 5 million of miles driven in self-driving cars. And there is, I want to show you this video.
Back in 2009, in our early days at Google, we started working on self-driving cars. Today, we're called Waymo, and our fully self-driving cars are on the road. They use a range of technology we've built from the ground up to understand the world around them and get you where you need to go. You're about to see how it all works and what it feels like to ride in our car. As it drives, Waymo uses LiDAR, which sends out millions of laser beams per second to build up a detailed picture of the world all 360 degrees around it. It also uses radar to detect how far away objects are and their speed. And high-resolution cameras detect visual information, like whether a traffic signal is red or green. It then combines all that data to understand the world around it. For example, in this fraction of a second, it knows exactly where it is on the road. It can also identify everything around it in full 360 degrees, and then predict what those things might do next. And it doesn't just do that for the objects you and I can see. It can do that for things up to 3 football fields away. What makes everything you can see right now possible is experience. Waymo has already self-driven millions of miles on complicated city streets, and it's constantly learning from every single mile it drives. With all that knowledge, it can plan a safe path ahead. In this instance, giving that cyclist enough room to cycle past us, and also looking out for that pedestrian on the sidewalk. And when it comes to making decisions, this is a good example of how Waymo doesn't just take into account your safety. It also makes sure that both you and the people around you feel secure and at ease. So now that you know how Waymo works, it's time to take your first ride in one of our cars. Take a look around. You're now riding in a fully self-driving car. Some things might immediately stand out. The fact that there's no one in the driver's seat, no one turning the wheel, and the screens, which show you what the car is seeing and the route it's taking. But you might also notice that the ride feels a lot like being driven in a regular car. And that's the way it should feel. All this technology, which allows Waymo to see, identify, predict, and plan, should make an extraordinary ride feel completely ordinary and create a very normal journey that simply gets you from A to B safe and sound. And
of course, we are I'm able, I mean, if you have questions later, I'm happy to answer those questions.